Saturday night in Gdańsk, UFC Fight Night 118. We're going to be talking 217, UFC 217 in a couple of weeks. That'll be Bisping and GSP. But a nice primer this weekend with this fight being held in Gdańsk, this fight card. And, of course, the main event is Darren Till, up-and-coming Darren Till, taking on Cowboy Cerrone. The number at CGT at last check was Cerrone about a $1.45 favorite. But it has come down a bit, even though, I guess because he's lost 2 straight fights, and Darren Till starting to get some hype.
Darren Till was by far our biggest liability to the book on this card. We're talking about at minus 145 on Cowboy Cerrone, maybe the lowest price in the market that I've seen. A lot of places still 155, 160. We are taking nothing but Darren Till money here. And look, there's something to be said about miles on a fighter. Cowboy Cerrone has fought a lot of fights, made a lot of tough weight cuts to get down to 55, came up to 70. Looked a little better out of the gate at 170, winning his first 3, but now he's lost 2 straight fights, got knocked out to Jorge Masvidal, wasn't just losing, got knocked out. Didn't look great, I thought, against Robbie Lawler. I thought Robbie Lawler was clearly the better fighter there. Now, all of a sudden, for the second time in 3 years, the UFC is feeding a young, up-and-coming fighter to Donald Cowboy Cerrone. The last time this happened, Miles Jury, if anyone remembers, Cowboy Cerrone absolutely picked Miles Jury apart. What's going to be the situation here with Darren Till? I will say this, Darren Till is probably one of the tallest fighters Cowboy Cerrone's ever fought. And the Cowboy Cerrone's a guy that loves to use leg kicks, loves to use his range, both punching and kicking. Darren Till's longer, taller. He actually likes to use his range. So it'll be interesting to see if Darren Till's range gives Cowboy Cerrone some problems. And we can't underestimate this factor. We've seen it so many times in boxing and in MMA alike. Darren Till will have the home crowd advantage here, and that's been known to sway some judges here and there. We've seen it happen. We just saw it happen in a mega boxing event here in Las Vegas. So between the home crowd, the young, he's 10 years younger than Cowboy Cerrone, have all those miles played a factor now on Cowboy Cerrone.
What's the bigger factor? The fact that Cerrone has all these miles on him. You know, he's got 19 UFC wins, second to Bisping, I think. Yeah. 0-4, though, in major title fights. So when he's had to step up, he's lost in those kind of fights. But what's more of a factor? Is it the mileage on him, or is it, and you talk about this in radio shows that you and I have done for the last couple of years, podcast, videos, what have you, but you've mentioned a million times that sometimes Dana and UFC moves a guy up just a step or a heartbeat too soon. Is that what's happening? Is that happening right now with Darren Till? Is that a bigger factor than Cerrone with all this mileage on him?
What worries me about this card in betting Cerrone is, why are you putting Cowboy Cerrone on an international card that's going to take place, the main event, around 12:30 p.m. our time, which is a horrible wagering time. So for all you that want to bet this fight, I recommend betting any fights on this card Friday night, because the actual card will start at like 7 a.m. Saturday morning. Our time. So it's such an early card. It's on Fight Pass, and Cowboy Cerrone is one of your favorite fighters, according to fans. Why are you having him on this card against this young, undefeated British fighter, Darren Till? I think the UFC must think more highly of Till than most people, because it's only a win-win for Till and a lose-lose for Cowboy Cerrone.
Gdańsk is going to be jumping when Karolina Kowalkiewicz goes into the ring in this particular fight card. She's laying about 450 right now against Jodie Esquibel, who's a boxer who likes to strike. But I don't know that she's ready to step in against Karolina. It's minus 450 last check at CGT. You getting any action there from the public or from sharp bettors?
Not really. We had a couple of people lay it. We took a $4,500 bet to win $1,000 on the favorite here, and it's a rightfully so favorite. This is one of those fights, it feels like they're setting up the hometown fighter to look good and get an impressive win in front of her hometown crowd. Nothing makes these hometown crowds go crazy like their actual hometown fighters getting a big impressive win there. I think that's the case here. I think there's some really good value spots on this card, so I'm going to stay away from the minus 450 favorite in this spot.
They've got to want Kowalkiewicz to win. She looks good. She has a good presence. I know eventually they want to see her fight Joanna, which we'll talk about her on our next UFC video, which will be in a couple of weeks for 217. Karolina laying 450, a little bit too steep for me. Sounds like a little too steep for you, but I do think she gets it done. Any other fight or two that is going to draw your betting interest?
2 fights I'm looking at here. One, a guy that a lot of people in America are very familiar with, Smiling Sam Alvey's fought a lot of impressive names in the UFC. Just beat former UFC light heavyweight champion Rashad Evans in his last fight. 5-1 in his last 6 fights, Smiling Sam Alvey. He's a -140 underdog here to a guy named Ramazan Emeev. And Ramazan Emeev making his UFC debut, but he's fought most of his fights in M1 Global. It's a major Russian organization. They actually put together major fights here. Smiling Sam's going to get a lot of money here because people know him. People have seen him. He fights big names. Ramazan Emeev here is a deserved -140 favorite, and the sharp money has been going on that side. I would say lay the price with Ramazan Emeev before this one crosses 150. I know you don't know, a lot of people don't know him yet, but he is the sharp side in this fight. And then there's another fight on the card, heavyweight fight. Anthony Freight Train Hamilton, Adam Wieczorek from Poland. Anthony Freight Train Hamilton knocked out in the first round in 3 straight fights. After his last fight, he retired in the ring, said the freight train has come to a stop. Decided to take the money, give it one more shot. He is a knockout or get knocked out kind of guy. Total's 1.5 here. This one, very unlikely to see the second round. I played the total under 1.5, -120. That price is already starting to climb up. I think Adam Wiechorek's probably some value, but that one already went from 120 to 145. Rather than lay the 145, I'm going to lay 120 that this one ends before midway through the second round.
He's been hot for about 2 years now, man, since I started doing videos and radio with him when it comes to the UFC. He is Matt Holt. By the way, give him a follow on Twitter at Matthew Holt VP, because going right up until fight time, I mean, you get a lot of, you tweet out a lot of great information when it comes to what's going on with the UFC card, weigh-ins, maybe a fighter who had a little problem making weight, things of that nature. A great follow at Matthew Holt VP. CGT app, mobile app, about as good as it gets. There's no better way to bet sports, as you say, in 2017.
And look, on a weekend like this, you don't want to be running around. You have all these big college football games, full NFL card, a great Bellator card on Friday. NBA's going now, Vegas Golden Knights. Take the 5 minutes while you're at the book. Sign up for an account, download the app, bet the games where you watch the games from the convenience of your mobile phone. That's how people bet in 2017.
He's Matt Holt, VP of Business Development at CGT Sportsbooks in Las Vegas. I'm Scott Spreitzer. Stick around. A lot more videos here at WagerTalk.com.